Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Hello, Shalom Aleichem, and welcome back to today's Daf Hayemi Maseches NIDDAH Daf Ches. We are holding on the last line of Zayin Amud Beis. V'suleka. Yesterday, Shmuel issued a statement to the effect of that in 4 cases we adopt Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. So we only paskan like him in 4 halachas. And the question is, it's limited to only 4. V'suleka, there is no more. What about that Mishnah Maseches Yevamis? V'ika Desnam, you have that Mishnah there. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, we turn to the next topic. Malamdin asaktana shetemayin boy. Rashi brings the background to this halacha. What happened was like this. We have 2 brothers married to 2 sisters. Reuven is married to Rachel, who's an adult woman. Shimon, his brother, is married to Leah, who's merely a ketana, underage. In which case, Reuven's marriage to Rachel is sanctioned minat Torah, whereas Shimon's marriage with Leah is only with the Rabbanon, because we're speaking that the father was not involved, it was just the mother or the brother, which is merely a marriage with rabbinic status. Now, suppose Reuven passes away. Reuven, who is Shimon's brother, passed away with no children. Rachel is liable to Yibam. She's meant to go with Shimon. But the issue is that Shimon is married to her sister. Now typically, Achois Ishtoi, if the Yivama happens to be the sister of the woman who he's married to, that Yivama is exempt from Yibam. Achois Ishtoi, it's one of the Arayas, forbidden woman. But in this case, we have a bit of a dilemma. On the one hand, we say, look, Shimon cannot do Yivam to Rachel because Shimon is married to Rachel's sister. On the other hand, his marriage to Leah, Rachel's sister, is not really minat Torah. It's only midrabanan. So should he divorce her and then be Mekai mitzvahs Yivam with Rachel? Well, then it's also an issue because once he issues a divorce to Leah, Rachel has a status of Achais Gerushasei, sister of his divorcee. Although the marriage was only Rabbanan, but it gives that impression, that gives that message that it appears like she's Achais Gerushasei. So we're sort of stuck. How do we proceed? He would like to do Yivam, but he can't. Melamden es Aktana, says Rabbi Eliezer. We advise the Iktana, Leah, shetema'in boy. She should do miyun. Reject her husband, and that's allowed because the whole marriage is only the Rabbanon, which allows for this, the exit route of miyun. In which case, she's going to nullify her marriage to Shimon retroactively. It's as though they were never married. In which case now, Rachel, who was Reuven's wife, is fully permissible to Shimon. It's as though he was never married to Leah, who was Rachel's sister. That is Rabbi Eliezer approach. That's his opinion on this topic. If you have an issue with Yivam, go ahead. Have the Tana do Mi'un, which allows Shimon to do Yivam. Now, do we paskin like that? Yes. V'amar Yehuda. Amar, he's quoting Shmuel, who's the author of that 4-item list. Here's number 5. Halacha. The halacha adopts Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. That's the way to go. Halacha Rabbi Eliezer. So the question is, why wasn't it on the list? Answer is the Gemara, you're right. There are more examples, but that list was specific to matters of taharis, like niddah, like questions of tumah v'tahara, discussed yesterday. This is a yivam question, a different realm. Belongs on a different list. Ki Amar Shmuel, Achar Rabbi Eliezer b'ta'at. When Shmuel says we pass on Rabbi Eliezer on 4 items, but say the taharis. I was regarding say the taharis. B'shar Star Mikatu. Of course, throughout Shas there are many more examples. V'chanam b'stavra. I'll even prove to you as such. Here comes yet a 6th case where Shmuel took on Rabbi Eliezer opinion, which proves our point that the list really expands beyond the 4 discussed yesterday. This not Rabbi Eliezer Omer. So a woman baked up, small batches of dough, each one less than a the required amount to trigger the chal obligation, but then she goes and she takes it out of the oven, puts it in one sal, haroida v'noisen l'sal, removed from the oven, and place them into one basket. The basket has a combining effect. Hasal mitzar from the challah. Now you have the obligatory quantity which activates chal. That's Rebbe Elazar's chiddush. So even post baking, the sal can combine them into one batch. Ve'amar v'damar Shmuel. Once again, Shmuel speaking, halacha is like Rebbe Eliezer. Shmamino. That proves our point that there were more items than the ones discussed yesterday. Ask the Gemara, why did we have to go to number 6 to prove our point? Why couldn't we just suffice with number 5, with the miyun? Why is number 6 better than 5? I'll even prove to you that the list expands from number 6. Why is that better than number 5? But you already proved that point. The answer is number 5 wouldn't necessarily prove it. Wouldn't necessarily prove that we are siding with Rebbe Eliezer, because the truth is that he wasn't on his own. It wasn't his own independent opinion. There were others that sided with him. So perhaps that's why Shmuel adopted that position, not because of Eliezer, because of a different opinion that was on the same page. And that necessitated finding yet another example, which was number 6, which Rebbe Eliezer on his own, and we paskin like it, which proved our point that in fact the list must be expanded. Answer the Gemara, Rebbe Eliezer could say, because in terms of the 5th item, the Yivam item, Rebbe Eliezer, this time without a Yud, wasn't until now it's Rebbe Eliezer. Now it's Rabbi Elazar. It's also a Tana, but Rabbi Elazar. His name is Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua. The Kohen Rabbi Elazar could say Rabbi Elazar also had the same position regarding the miyun, and perhaps that's why Shmuel adopted that opinion, not because of Rabbi Eliezer, but rather because of Rabbi Elazar. This not where do we find this added opinion? This not Rabbi Elazar Aimer. In the case where a Tana is involved, we advise her to walk away. Ask the Gemara, Umikai, what does one have to do with the other? Rabbi Elazar's case, although it sounds the same, is a totally different scenario. He's talking about a whole different story there. Umikai, is that true that Rabbi Elazar is in line with Rabbi Eliezer? They're talking about different situations. If you recall back in Yavamis, the Gemara analyze each case, explain why both are needed. They're both different, addressing different situations. They're not similar to each other. So why do you say that Rabbi Elazar is in support of Rabbi Eliezer? You're right. Ella, rather, we find a different Tana who had the similar viewpoint to Rabbi Eliezer in the matter of the miyun. Ella mishum the koy Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba kavaseh. Ben Baba sided with the Sani. We find it's not in the Mishnah. Baba Hayid, he testified on 5 matters. Hayidvar. Number 1, Shememanim esak tanis. We advise, we instruct, we encourage the tanis to walk off. Okay, there you go. So that's another opinion siding with Rabbi Eliezer's position, and perhaps that's why Shmuel paskin like it. So it doesn't really prove anything in terms of expanding the Rabbi Eliezer list. And that's what necessitated us to go find another one, which was the next case of the Chala. In any case, what are the 5 items of Rabbi ben Baba's testimony? First of all is the miyun on the Ketanos. And as we're going to see in a minute, the Gemara is assuming Ketanos is plural because it's relating to both scenarios of miyun, Rabbi Eliezer's case and Rabbi Elazar's case. Number 2 is Shemasinas Ishal Peidachad. You can allow a married woman to remarry based on testimony coming from one witness, testifying that her husband had passed away. It's a special leniency that we have by the Aguna. Number 3, B'sheniskal Tarnagel B'Yushalayim Al Sharos HaNefesh. They stoned a Tarnagel, a chicken in Yerushalayim, for killing. So it doesn't just apply to oxen, it applies to any wild animal. Val Yain Ben Mem Yoim. Another matter regarding fresh wine, which is barely 40 days old since pressing. It qualifies as proper wine for Nisuch HaYain on the Mizbech, Nasach HaGam Mizbech, which was used on the Mizbech. And finally, about Talmud Shachar, Shekar B'dal Choice. I can tell you that was a story that they actually brought the Talmud Shachar very late in the morning. At the 4th hour in the morning, which means to say that's the still within the allowable window. Now going back to that first item, memanim esaktanis. Let's assume Mike tanis. Why does he use plural language? Lav, chada, Rabbi Elazar, v'chad Rabbi Eliezer. Apparently it's going on both scenarios. One of Rabbi Elazar, one of Rabbi Eliezer. And here we go, we have a support to Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. Lie, no, who says? Mike tanis, tanis de alma, perhaps. He was merely referring to Rabbi Elazar's scenario. Over there, we encourage the Ketana to walk off, but in Rabbi Eliezer's case, who says? And although he's using plural language, he means that single scenario as many times over. Ketanis d'alma, the general ketanis. So he's not talking about two different types of cases. That case, as many times as it happens. So as the Mayachi, if that's how you're understanding the plural, it's the same story, just duplicate. So, in the second halacha, we allow a woman, isha, to remarry. Why use a singular language? Use a plural, as many times as it happens. Nisnei nashim, it should say nashim. We can also understand the same way, nashim de alma, the general nashim. Ella, so you're compelled to learn differently. Isha, since we have that shift in semantics, here it's singular, and there it's ketana is plural. Shmamino, that confirms for us. Daf ketani, that's exact, that's precise. Shmamino, in fact, it's addressing both types of cases. Rabbi Elazar's case, and likewise Rabbi Eliezer's case. Here we have a right to Rabbi Eliezer's shita. And that again explains why it wasn't on that list, because it wasn't Rabbi Eliezer himself, his own independent opinion. It was supported by Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. So it didn't belong on that list, but ultimately we did find an additional example, the case of the Chala, where even Shmuel himself paskins like Rabbi Eliezer. So apparently the list with just 4 relates to Taharis, but of course there are more on top of that. Continues the Gemara. Just like Shmuel presented that list of 4 where the halachas Rabbi Eliezer, we find that there's another Amira as well. His name was Rabbi Elazar, actually. Rashi says Rabbi Elazar ben Pedas, an Amira. V'chein Rabbi Elazar. That in 4 instances, the halacha is Kurabi Eliezer B'dalet. V'suleka, once again the same question, why is it limited only to 4? But Tanan, we have the case of Miun, where Rabbi Elazar also voted for Rabbi Eliezer. But Tanan Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Elazar and Pedas got up and said, halacha Rabbi Eliezer. So the list should be expanded to include this one too. Perhaps you can say, like we said before, when does Rabbi Elazar ben Pedas tell us that the halacha is Rabbi Eliezer? In only Bedal, only 4. That's regarding Beseda Taharis and Taharis matters. But in other areas of halacha, there are other examples. Can that be true? Mi'ika? Are there more examples? Are there more cases where Rabbi Elazar and Pedas sided with Rabbi Eliezer? No. But now, listen to this Mishnah Maseches Shvius. So we have a listing of, Rashi calls them Mine Besamim, items of pleasant fragrances. Altanan Havera, the rose, Ba'kaifer, all the time, Ba'ktaf, that's tree sap. What is their status regarding Shemitah? Are they subject to the laws of Shemitah? A fruit that grows on Shemitah has to be eaten, it can't be destroyed, you have to eat it personally, you can't commercialize it. You can only eat it within the bi'ur time frame as long as it's still available for the animals out in the field. So what about these items? Now, a plain piece of wood, a branch of a tree doesn't have these halachas, but these are different. They're like fruit, they're products of the actual tree. And they provide, benefit, they provide use. So the question is, what about these summon regarding Shemitah? Yesh lan shvius. They are subject to the rules of Shemitah, ulid mein shvius, and the money received in exchange for them, also subject to the halachas of Shemitah. Yesh lan bir, ulid mein bir, they have to be consumed. Them and their money have to be consumed within the bir time frame. V'amar Pedas, came forward and he explained, Man Tana Kitfa Peri. So the fourth item on the list was Ketaf, this tree sap. Who considers Ketaf as a pear, like a pre, like produce, something produced by a tree, which is like food which has the din of Shemitah? Who's that Shita? That is limited to one opinion, Rabbi Eliezer. It's his opinion. As we're going to see later, we have a Mishnah regarding the status of sap concerning the orla. Rabbi Eliezer is the one who considers it like a fruit. Okay. Rabbi Zera turned to him and says, look, take notice. Chazi, look, Deminach, based on what you just said, Umi Avuch, based on your father's statement, Rashi explains that Rabbi Padas was the son of that Amira, Rabbi Eliezer and Padas. So he was named the same name as his grandfather. So look, pay attention, because based on what you just told me, that the Ketaf is exclusively Rabbi Eliezer's Shita, Umi Avuch, and based on what your father said, that only in 4 instances do we adopt Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. Not the case of Ketaf. That's not on the list. In which case, the result would be, Kasharisa, you are permitting now Kitfa, this sap la'alma, for everybody to use. Meaning, it's free of any Shemitah constraints. And he explains, because you just told me, you just declared, Man Tana Kitfa Peir. Who's the one who considers Ketaf like a Peira and subject to Shemitah rules? Rabbi Eliezer. Now, add that to what your father said. Your father declared, Halach Rabbi Eliezer B'dalat. Only in 4 cases do we pass on Rabbi Eliezer, and this is not amongst those cases. End of story. Asks the Gemara, what does that tell us about that 4-item list? Apparently, it's precise, it's exact. There's nothing to add. V'im Isa, if you're going to tell me that those 4 were Taharis related, matters, but of course the list really should be expanded to cover other things. If that's true, then Rav Padas should just respond to him and say, no worries. Ki Amar Haba Alach Rabbi Eliezer B'dalet. My father spoke about Rabbi Eliezer in 4, but said that Taharis, that was regarding Taharis. But of course, we follow his opinion in other matters. Oh, so that confirms that in fact the list is limited to 4. Now how you can explain the fact that Rabbi Eliezer and Padas told us that we follow Rabbi Eliezer's Shita even in the 5th case of the Miyun? The answer is, like we said before, because it wasn't his independent opinion, it was supported by others. Because Rabbi Eliezer, a different Tana, supported him in that. This is not Rabbi Eliezer. Ask the Gemara, are they talking about the same case at all? Is he going with the same halacha? The Gemara in Yivam has already differentiated between the 2 cases and explained why both are needed and they're not similar. Say, rather, we have Rabbi Bava, who testified regarding 5 matters, one of which is that we encourage the Ktana to walk off. So that supports Rabbi Eliezer, and that's why, in that case, he adopted that viewpoint, but only in 4 instances do we pass alongside Rabbi Eliezer's viewpoint when it's just himself. Really, with Sulaka, there's no other example of such. Vatnan, listen to this. Rabbi Akiva Oimra. So when do we say the Atochen Antano, the Havdalah on Matzah Shabbos in the Shemini Esrei? Which part of Shemini Esrei? Akiva Oimra bracha Ravis B'fnei Atzma. It gets its own independent bracha number 4. Rabbi Eliezer Oimer. Okay, once again, Rabbi Eliezer speaking. Oimer Baidah. You insert it into Haidah into Moed. Which way does halacha go? V'amar Rabbi Lazar. So Rabbi Lazar and Padas again speaking. Halacha. Once again, we have halacha Rabbi Eliezer. So this is number 5. Amar Abba. Ha'uda Amar Mishum Rabbi Gamliel. He wasn't necessarily adopting Rabbi Eliezer per se. This viewpoint was shared by Rabbi Gamliel, and that's why he adopted it. The sign of Kiva Aimer bracha Rizmi Atzmo. Good Kiva. It's bracha number 4. Rabbi Gamliel Aimer Baidah. It's inserted into the Moedim. So Rabbi Abba answers, it wasn't Rabbi Eliezer's own opinion. Rabbi Eliezer was quoting Rabbi Gamliel, And that's where Rabbi Elazar Padas took up the position as halach. Which are Talmud Bavli. How could you say that Rabbi Eliezer, who lived earlier than Rabbi Chanan Gamliel, was adopting Rabbi Chanan Gamliel's opinion, who came later than him? Rabbi Eliezer was much older than Rabbi Gamliel. How could you suggest that he was adopting the younger Talmud Chacham's opinion? Rather, we'll say like this: not that Rabbi Eliezer personally was merely adopting somebody else. The opposite. Rabbi Eliezer stated his opinion. The Atachan Antona goes into Haidah. It so happens that he was supported by a Chacham of a later generation. The Koyer, Rabbi Gamliel followed his opinion. And that's why Rabbi Elazar and Padas chose this position. It wasn't Rabbi Elazar himself per se, it was supported by others. But in terms of posking Rabbi Elazar himself, that's limited to 4 examples. Ask the Gemara, is that true that Rabbi Chanan Gamliel adopted Rabbi Eliezer's position in this matter, that Atachan Antonim is recited in the Moedim part of Shemon Esrei Mikoi, Batanya? Listen to this brisa that describes the Tfilos of Yom Kippur. Or Yom Kippurim. So the evening of Yom Kippur, meaning the Mariv, Mispal Sheva Misvada. The Shemon Esrei consists of 7 brachos, at the end of which he has the vidui. You insert the vidui confession. Same thing in the morning. Shachris, Mispal Sheva Misvada, Musaf, Mispal Sheva Misvada, Mincha, Mispal Sheva Misvada, Menilo, Mispal Sheva Misvada, Ba'arvis. The Arvis of Motzei Yom Kippur, we give you a shortcut. Mispal Sheva, Shemon Esrei. So you daven a shortened version of Shemon Esrei, which turns out like 7 brachos. It's late, he's hungry, Chachamim gave him a quick, short tefillah to daven. Rashi explains, so you start with the first, 3 standard brachos, and likewise you conclude with the 3 brachos, and the 12 middle brachos you sort of condense into a shortened version of a tefillah, into 1 bracha. That's the Tanakh. Rabbi Chanan Gamliel quotes his fathers, his ancestors, who say no. You can't condense anything. You know why? Mispal Shemon Esrei, you have to do a full Shemon Esrei. So you have to say Havdalah, the Atachan Antano, which belongs in Chayin Hadas. And the only way it's going to work is if you have a long version, a regular version Shemon Esrei. Clearly, he's of the opinion that Atachan Antano doesn't belong in Moedim, like Rabbi Eliezer, it belongs in Chayin Hadas. So how could you say that he's in line to Rabbi Eliezer? Amar of Nachmar Yitzchak. Amar Shema Baisav Leilas Virlei. He's quoting his father. He's quoting his grandma. He's quoting his Avoisav. They hold that Havdalah is in Chayin Hadas. Be himself held like Rabbi Eliezer that it's in Haidah. Okay. Amalei Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbi Zera. So Rabbi Yirmiyah turned to Rabbi Zera, who had confronted Rabbi Das, who said that who considers sap like pera? Only Rabbi Eliezer. So Rabbi Yirmiyah turns to him and says, and you're not going to agree with that? You're not going to agree that that concept is subject to dispute, and it's only Rabbi Eliezer who considers it like produce? You don't agree that the man Tana Kitfa Pera, the one who considers Ktaf like Pera, is only Rabbi Eliezer. Who? That's now we have a Mishnah which supports that approach. This is regarding Erla. They used to use sap, this acidic material, to produce cheese. It was like a curdling agent, which they would insert into milk and turn into cheese. You're not meant to have any benefit from Erla materials. The fruit, and perhaps even the sap, which according to Rabbi Eliezer is considered like the fruit. Rabbi Eliezer, a person produces cheese, he hardens his milk, Bisraf Erla, using Erla sap. Asur! Cheese is asur because he's having hana from Erla material, Erla fruit, Erla produce. So clearly, it's only Rabbi Eliezer who considers sap, just like food? Says the Gemara, no, even Rabbanon would, in theory, agree that sap can have the status like food. And regarding, Shemitah, it would be subject to halachas of Shemitah. There are two types of sap. They're only arguing regarding the sap coming out of the branch, out of the bark. That's like wood. It's not considered a product. But if it's sap coming out of unripe fruit, even they would agree. This none. Rabbi Shua tells us, Shamati, I learned, Beferish clearly, Shamad Safra Ilan. Person curdles using the sap of the leaves, current of the roots, mutter. According to Rabbanan, that's okay. Pagan also, but the sap coming out of unripe figs is also an issue pre, because it's like a pre. People say another way to answer this question is, I said Peres. Sure, the Mishnah, where the Rabbanan allow the Yisraf of the Arla, that's only Bi'ilanoy said Peres. If it's sap coming off the tree, which produces real fruit, so we disregard the sap, consider like it's wood. But if it's a tree which doesn't produce fruit, even they would agree. In this case, the sap is like the fruit. That's what the tree produces. And that has Arla status, and that has Shria status. Moidi, they would agree the kitfoy, so period. It's sap, it's like it's fruit, it's none. And this point will be supported by the next mission of Shimon Omer. Ein l'ktav shvius, v'chamer yesh l'ktav shvius. Nesheketv is a period. Rabbi Shimon says shvius wouldn't apply to sap. Chacham say it would because its sap is like its fruit. Who are these chachamim? Man chacham. Who is the chacham? Lav Rabban the Pligul Rabbi Eliezer. We'll assume it's the chacham who disagrees with Rabbi Eliezer regarding other trees, standard, fruit-bearing trees. There they would disagree. But if it's a non-fruit-bearing tree, even they would agree. Its sap is like its fruit. Amalei Usaba. So this elder chacham turns to him and says, no, Achikam Rabbi Yechanan. Not necessarily. Man chacham Rabbi Eliezer. Damakit v'zeu period. Perhaps the chachamim alluded to in this most recent quote is really Rabbi Eliezer, who in general considers sap like fruit. Chacham would never consider, he's the one. Rabbi Eliezer, well, 1 second, if Rabbi Eliezer, why limit your discussion to a non-fruit bearing tree? My area, why refer to an Ilan Sheina said peri? And that's why its sap is like its fruit. I feel Ilan said peri. Rabbi Eliezer holds even on a fruit bearing tree. Ilan said peri, kitwa is a peri, the sap is like its fruit. The answer is you're right. He was just relating to his opponent, Levren, the Rabbanan Kamer, he was relating to the Chachamim, to Reb Shimon. He says, look, my opinion is sap and fruit is the same thing. The day, according to me, I feel even a fruit-bearing tree. Nami, there are two kitvazel peri. I consider its sap like its fruit. Regarding Erla, regarding Shemitah, etc. But according to your opinion, at least agree to me in a non-fruit scenario, at least there agree that the sap is considered, that's all it's producing. At least agree to me, then in that case, the kitvai consider it zeo period. For Rabban, I'm really tell him, no, Lishna doesn't matter. Sap is sap, it's not fruit, it's not period, it's not subject to anything, not to Erla, not to Shemitah. Okay, so in summation, we have many instances where Rabbi Eliezer is mentioned throughout Shas. Do we paskin like him? Shmuel tells us only in 4. And although we found a 5th, 4 was specific to Taharis. But of course there's a 5th, which is the case of the Chala. And although we found another one with the case of the Mian, but that was supported by others, so doesn't belong in our list. Likewise, we have Rabbi Elazar Padas issuing a similar statement. It's 4 times where we pass on Eliezer. And although we had another item, the case of the Miyun, but that was again supported by Rabbi Bava, and therefore it doesn't really belong on the list. What about the case of where to recite the Havdalah? Again, that was supported by Rechonim Gamliel. So it wasn't Rabbi Eliezer independent opinion, and again, it doesn't belong on the list. Interesting discussion we had regarding the status of sap, of ktaf. According to Rabbi Eliezer, it certainly qualifies regarding Hilchas Shemitah, regarding Hilchas Erla. According to Chachamim, well, it seems like it does not have the status of peri, but we did have a suggestion that perhaps by an Ilan She'ein Oiseh Peris, the Iktaf would be considered have similar status to peri. Continues the Gemara. Ezohi Pesula Kol Shalei Rasa V'chulu. So again, back to the halacha of Anida, discovers dam. We say, look, it may have arrived earlier or noticed. Chacham may apply a tuma misafik on the previous 24 hours of meis leis. But there are some exceptions. So some women which are exempt from the meis leis halacha, one of which is a psula. Now, psula in this context is referring to a woman who never experienced a period. Tanur Rabbanan. Nises v'rasada machbis nesuin. Suppose this young woman married, and she experienced dam on account of the marriage, which is the dam of the hymen of the psula. Or yola, she even gave birth, and that's why she saw dam. V'rasada machmas leida on account of the birth. She can still be considered psulas dam. Adayan ikarla psula. We still call her psula because the definition in our context is very different than the general usage of that word. We spoke about in the Mishnah, psula is damim. Psulim, talking about the first in terms of experiencing a period, not in terms of the bisulam membrane, which is typically referred to. Eini, is that so? V'amar Rav Kahana, Tana, we learned in a Braisa, Gimel Besula is saying there are three variations of the term Besula. Besulas Adam, Besulas Karka, Besulas Shikma. And he explained, Besulas Adam means Kol Mashalei Nevala. Besulas Adam means she hadn't yet interacted with a man. Nafkamina. What's the ramification of that? Kohen Gadol. Because the Kohen Gadol is obligated to marry only a Besula. Inami. Another application would be the Ksubas Masayim. She's a psula, then her ksuba amounts to 200 zuz, as opposed to a non-psula, which is less. The next type of psula is karka. What does that mean? Kol mashalei nevta, before it was plowed. Virgin earth, nafkamina. What's the point of that? L'nachal esam. That's where they behead the calf when they discover a victim on the road. You need a place which hasn't been cultivated. Inami. Another application would be l'mekach memkar. Fellow stipulated, I want to buy, virgin, land, a field which has never been used, so it's got to be uncultivated, undisturbed earth. What's the third type of psula? Psula shikma. That's a sycamore tree which would never cut down. So before it was cut for the first time, it's called a psula shikma. Gemina. That would apply to l'mekach memkar, to transaction. A person states that he wants to, he's buying a uncut shikma. It's got to be as such, right? So psula shikma refers to uncut, undisturbed tree. Inami, another application will be the miktzis of b'shvius regarding whether you're allowed to cut down those thick, beam-like branches of the shikma on shmita, because it's not, as we learned, ain't kaitzim psula shikma b'shvius. If it's shmita, you cannot cut it down because it's improving. It's going to instigate its growth. Make sure you avoid it. It's like working. It's like cultivating it. Okay, so we have three types of psula. Psulas Adam, Psulas Karka, Psulas Shikma. Why not a fourth? Psulas Damim. If there's another example of psula, another application to that term, listen now me, it should have added this to the list. Psulas Damim. Amar Rachmar Yitzchak Iktani. We did the less Shem Levi. True, of course, there's another type of psula, Psulas Damim. But the listing only had types which have no, added accompanying descriptive terms to it. Aval midid is l'shem levai like tani, as opposed to psulas damim, which needs that extra added word to it. You have to say psulas damim, so it doesn't belong on that list. Rashi explains. Over here it has to be psulas damim, because otherwise plain besula means a regular standard besula. And likewise, you say karka besula or shikma besula, you don't have to add anymore. But over here you have to add more. You have to say psulas damim. So that's why it's not on that list. Rav Sheshet Ravidu Amar, we're going to find different, factors of differentiation between psulas damim and the ones on the list. He says like this. I'll tell you why Psulas Damim doesn't belong on that listing. The only ones that are listed are Midid Talib and Mas. Situations where it would only lose its status through an act, through a Mas. You cut down the tree, you cultivate the farm. Midid Talib and Mas, like Tani, as opposed to Psulas Damim, which does not depend on a Mas, or a person happens naturally. She sees Dam, it comes. So it's a different category. Rav Chanina B'Ravika Amar, I'll tell you why. Kiktani, Midid Lehadla Briyasai. That list only covers items which cannot revert to their earlier status. Right? Because once it's cut down, it's no longer going to be a psula shikma, etc. Mididi Hadal Briyasai, as opposed to a woman who eventually will return to that state and be dam free when she becomes a zakena, an older woman. So that's why it's in a different category. Like Tani, it doesn't belong on the list. Ravina Amar, I'll tell you why. Kiktani, Midid the couple of Zvina. We only have items where the recipient, the customer, would be particular about it. He wants an undisturbed, uncultivated, fresh farm. He wants an untouched tree, etc. Midid the like couple of Zvina, but psulas damim, it's not something that anybody cares about. Like Tani, so it's not doesn't match the rest. Like Kapti, really? There's no particularity regarding an Isha producing dam. Tani, we have a brisa. It's actually an advantage for her. He says like this: it's just like sourdough, the leavening agent, benefits the dough. Kach damim yafan Isha likewise. Blood is beneficial to a woman. Tani mishar meir. A woman who has lots of dam, it's a sign of health. She'll produce more offspring. So certainly, it is a factor to consider. Ella, you're right. Kiktani midid the covers at least vina. We only mention things that would trigger more demand, like fresh tree, fresh piece of property, a woman who's a psula, never married, fresh, pristine. But regarding dam, midid like kapatale is vina like tani. It's just the opposite. The more the better. The more dam, it's an indication of health. So it's exactly the opposite of the other examples that are cited on that list. And that's why we limit the list to three types of psula: psulas adam, who's pristine; psulas karka, pristine; psulas shikma, undisturbed, uncut. That's something which makes these items attractive, as opposed to lacking dam. That's not an advantage. Tanrabon, Ezoy psulas karka. How do you define psulas karka? Kol shemal reshoshin. It's covered with these little pebbles, with little clumps of dirt, of soil, of mud. Ve'ein afar techoyach, doesn't have that soft soil because it was never undisturbed. It's virgin soil. Let's say they dig down, they find this little piece of pottery inside. Then it's been disturbed. Then it's been cultivated. Sunma. Let's say you see just plain rock. Here's a psulas karka. Again, that proves that it's been undisturbed, and it certainly qualifies as psulas karka. And if it was sold as such, then he kept his deal, and the transaction is valid. Muberes mishivada ubra. So Mishnah spoke about a muberes as well. She's expectant, and her ubar is noticeable. In that case, she's considered mislekas damim, blood-free. In which case, if she happens to see dam, it's an unusual occurrence, and the concern only applies from that moment onward. V'kama karas uber was considered the uber being noticeable. How far into the pregnancy? 3 months. So even though we don't have a solid proof for this 3-month rule, we have a hint. Right, the story of Yehuda and Tamar. So it's been 3 months and began to be noticed. Says the Gemara, why is it only a hint? Why is it only an illusion? A cruxiv, you have a pasuk, right? You have a solid proof that 3 months makes it noticeable. The answer is like this. True. When it's a 9-month full-term pregnancy, a third of the way in would be considered 3 months. But sometimes it's a shorter pregnancy. It's only a 7-month pregnancy, in which case a third into that shorter period would be less than 3 months. So perhaps she has a status of Misulekas Dam already 2 and a bit. The answer is no. Rashi says, we go with the majority rule. Most likely it's a full term, in which case she only has a special status when she hits 3 months. So we have an indication in the pasuk, but it isn't really a solid proof, if not for the mission telling us that this 3-month rule is an absolute time frame in all situations. Okay, let's do a brief chazorah of today's daf. We spoke about lists today. We have a list of 4 examples. We pass on Kripuliyas. And even though we find more, those are out of Seder Taharis. We find Miyun, we find Chala, we find the question of where to place the Atochin Anton. We discussed the status of Ketaf, whether it has the status of Peri regarding Orla, regarding Shemitah. We had another list of Psula, Psulas Adam, Psulas Karka, Psulas Shikma. We explained why Psulas Damim was not included on that list. So Psulas Damim does not have the din of Meis Leis, and likewise, Muberis, at what point? Mishiva da Ubra, which is 3 months into the term. All the best to you, and Hatzlach.